a little while. I know I've been hiding. I'm sorry, but don't worry, I'm back. And when I come crawling out of my hole, I come out with something a little bit special. Tonight, we're going to be talking with James Edward Clark. He's kind of the face of the channel in a lot of ways. He's like the first guy that I ever really professionally connected with. He did a ton of amazing design work for the channel over the years. And I'm just really happy to call James my friend. He's a cool guy. He's an amazing artist. He put out Tales to Enlighten a while back, and then he kickstarted his own book, Pissant Apocalypse, last year. Now, James is back with something I have been waiting to read literally for like 5 years. I've got one random issue of Evil sitting around my house, and tonight we're going to talk to James about his Kickstarter that's going on right now for Evil Comics. So, everybody, let's say hey to James. How you doing tonight, brother?
Hey man, how you doing? Thanks
I'm,
for having me on.
dude, I just appreciate you being back on, dude. I'm so stoked Evil is finally getting out. I could finally just shout this shit from mountaintops.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking back to like when I started, it must have been 2012, 2013, the first issue that I self-published came out. So we're talking over 10 years at this point. But I've done two, three other books in the meantime. Uh, Kept busy in the meantime, productive. It's just circling back finally, get this thing into print and into people's hands finally, which is a little surreal kind of. I don't think I've processed yet like what it really means like when we get it out there, but it's not really real until you hold it in your hand. Like, like when I got Pissant done, it wasn't really like still like a mini zine type of deal until I finally got the final proof copy in my hand. It was like, yeah, it's real actual book.
So Pissant was a mini. It was done as kind of like not a web comic, but you released it on your Instagram as you did it, and then you kind of went back and tweaked and reworked it a little bit and made it
Yeah.
really formatted it for the comic book edition.
Yeah, Pissant was kind of just like my lockdown book. It was kind of like a project that sort of came out of my sketchbook. The character was just kind of this big yellow brute that I kept drawing over and over again in my sketchbook, and then decided I was going to put like a story to him. And sort of the other characters were like characters I pulled out of my sketchbook. So like the first issue in particular was kind of stream of consciousness. Then I had to, like impose a story onto it. And originally, like I printed them in these like little mini zine formats. This is just like two pieces of printer paper, fold it twice, you cut it. It's the simplest, cheapest way to get a book made and you like distribute it. And I would package those with my little commissions I was doing at the time. And I was doing so many commissions because it was the middle of lockdown, everyone's home, and it was just like a fun thing for people to get, and they were very reasonably priced. I was like literally cranking out like six of those a day for people at the peak, and I went on for months and months. And then I would throw in one of my little Piss and Apocalypse zines, and that became like my distribution model, and that's how I like funded my lifestyle through that period and got the whole book done. And I managed to finish a complete book just by doing that, which was something.
And Pissant, like the Kickstarter did really well. You were just showing off your book. I've always got mine sitting like 10 feet next to me. Like anybody who thinks I'm full of shit, like I've got a massive pile of stuff that's next to me, but like James's stuff is always the top. Like I could grab Tales to Enlighten from right over
What
there.
about this one?
I like
There
I
you
mean,
go.
Tales to Enlighten is like one of my favorite indie books that I've ever gotten. Like the art in it is just so elevated and the storytelling is so concise. And if you're curious about Tales to Enlighten, we did a prior interview. You go back and check that out. We talked about that in a ton of detail, did some really
You
cool
interviewed Matt King too, the
uh
writer.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say we've got Matt
check out
King.
Matt King there,
Yeah.
the writer. Yeah, that was sort of like right after I finished what became the first draft of Evil. Matt actually reached out and asked me to start drawing his book. Originally, Tales to Enlighten was supposed to be like a 22-page thing. So I'm like, oh, that'd be like a fun palette cleanser. And then I could return to Evil and get the whole trade paperback. I could crowdfund. The plan was always to crowdfund it at that point. And then the whole thing just like uh, snowballed into what ended up becoming like a 165-page book. Like And then Matt added a bunch of other stuff. You can see how thick the final volume ended up becoming. So that took me right through 2020 and all the lockdowns and stuff. And then, yeah. and
I was gonna say you stayed extremely busy. You've gotten these two like fairly massive books out because despite its smaller stature, it is a longer book with Piss and
This is
Apocalypse.
another 170 pages right here. Evil is going to be 180 pages. I think there's about 165, 160 something pages in Tales to Enlighten. So what's that? Well,
Almost 500
like
pages.
almost 500 pages right there. And then I got like other projects that I've done, like you know, stuff that I've started with people that just kind of fell to the wayside, like Arthur and Boom Boom. That's another 30-page book. Got this prologue zine. That's another 30 pages. We got the what we're going to talk about tonight, the new science fiction zine that I've been hyping. Should we reveal it? This is an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick story called The Electric Ant. It's about this man. He wakes up in the hospital and he's missing his arm after being in a car accident. And the doctors explain to him that he's not actually a man. He's an electric ant, an organic robot. And his sort of perception of himself and reality starts to spin out of control. And he learns that he has a computer in his chest that's operated on like electric tape because it's written in like 1969, the story. So like kind of have it like he's got a little cassette in his chest. So he starts messing with the tape because he thinks he can like alter his reality by altering the tape because like everything to do with his reality is on the tape. So if he can manipulate the tape, how is that different than manipulating reality itself for him, right? From his perspective. And you know, doesn't go so well at first. They got to bring in the repairman. I kind of like just, you know, put him in a Superman's or a superhero suit because he's the repairman, right? Um, and he messes with himself even more. It's completely overwhelms his circuit. I'm kind of like the one everything in this book I copy pasted basically from the original short story. I like kind of moved some scenes around and edited some stuff out for time, and then I did sort of tweak the ending where I tied the climax in back to the car crash from the start. You had to see how it all works out in the end. But I'm curious to what people think, especially like people who are fans of Phil K. Dick, like why you mess with the guy's story. But we'll see how people like it. But I'm really pleased with it. That was our first stretch goal that we just reached this weekend. So like when we hit $10,000 on the Kickstarter, this was unlocked and it's going to be added on to everybody who backed the zine tier, or they got the add-on special add-on with the brand new 30 nudes, which this is a collection of my life drawing that I go to every week. You know, just various figure drawings with models. I can't flip through it. I'll get your YouTube channel in trouble, but check out those. So yeah, basically, like if you want to, if you're curious about the Electric Ant zine, the easiest, cheapest way to get it is just to go on, get the basic trade paperback tier, and then just get the 30 nudes add-on, and this will be added on for free now. So now that
I'm
we've
stoked
reviewed
to check it out, man. I'm a massive Philip K. Dick fan, but like Dick was like he was super talented and like so many great concepts, but like not necessarily the best like writer
I mean, he's great
or
at character. Like I've actually been listening to Valis on audiobook the last day and a half, and his dialogue and everything, like you can tell by the voices of the character, like who's who, and like it's all very compelling. Like I read Valis before, like 10, 15 years ago. I'm going through it. I've just kind of got the itch to go through it again. And actually enjoying it a lot more this time than last time. But yeah, it's also like I'm like closer to the age he wrote it in. And he's talking about all these girls, his ex-wives and all this stuff. So maybe I'm relating to him a little bit more this time around.
and you probably know who Philip K. Dick is more because that helps with that a lot too. Like I just feel like the more you know Philip K. Dick, the more his stuff makes sense. But like he'll make allusions and stuff. His dialogue isn't necessarily what I would dig at. It's the construction of his stories is like sometimes a bit I would call it a bit obtuse. I love his ideas. Would have been awesome if there was an editor who was like, "Hey, let's take all this like methed up rambling and like cut up everything and maybe make some of this make just a tad bit more
He
sense."
was right. He was writing that shit too fast. He was just hopped up on like speed, like just pounding out. He was doing like two, three novels a year, and it's like shit like the Man in the High Castle, like Three Stigmatas of Palmer Eldridge came out of that period. Like by the time he got to Valis, he was slowing down because he was spending all his time like he dropped stopped doing speed at that point, but he got like super religious and a bit schizophrenic, and he was writing most of his energy was going into writing this exegesis he called it, where it's just basically like his theological ramblings, and like Valis is like very anti or autobiographical from that period, and he goes into talking about like all the time, like literally like this exegesis thing ended up being like 10,000 pages literally and very small print and just like insane, obtuse, sort of like Berkeley intellectual, kind of like theological, philosophical dissections of like the Bible and all this nonsense. And like,
Interesting guy.
it's very like rambling, but uh, actually, like, it's an interesting book because he hooks up with a pop singer who's kind of like David Bowie, and there's like they have the reincarnation of the savior who's like a child who's got like some sort of a disease that they're rotting away very quickly, and it gets into like all of his like his marriage falling apart and his like very suicides attempts and stints at rehab up in Canada, up here in like Vancouver. He spent some time, and like a lot of like Scanner Darkly came out of that period too.
God, what a good book, man.
Yeah,
Scanner
Scanner
Darkly.
Darkly.
God damn.
The problem with it, like the movie is so close to the book. Like if you watch the movie and then try and read the book, like it's very, very similar. Like there's entire scenes just completely transcribed, which sounds great and is to the benefit of the movie. But then you try and read it, it's like I've already seen the scene and like acted out with like Robert Downey Jr. and Keanu Reeves and stuff.
Yeah, Linklater is like notorious about that. He does such a good job with his source material, dude.
Yeah, I like that movie. It's pretty good. It's like the most um loyal to the source material as far as like all of the Dick uh, books. I actually listened to We Remember Wholesale, which became Total Recall, and that story is completely different. It's like more of a comedy, more of a like it's he never leaves Earth. The beginning sort of similar, but then there's this whole twist about like an alien invasion on Earth and stuff, and how he was like chosen by the aliens, and it goes off in a completely different direction than the movie.
That's a lot of Dick stuff does. They'll use that basic little premise and then like branch off into stuff. But it's not necessarily always to like the detriment of the film or adaptation.
Yeah,
A
like
lot of times,
you couldn't film Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is the movie they made or the book they made Blade Runner based off of. Like there's a whole like religious subtext or a subplot about like people have a station in their house. They go and they get beams of light that like transports them so they can go talk to the deity of this like new cyber religion or whatever it is. And I don't know if you could film all that. It would like be coherent for people.
yeah, no, a lot of Dick stuff was like so conceptually above visualization. He reminds me, and it is the one thing that I would say that like I really loved about his writing is he's almost Lovecraftian in his like descriptions of stuff. Not in his like verbiage or anything, but in the sense that he leaves everything so vague but defined enough that you have a sense of the reality of what's going on. It's that's I think the
I
biggest
mean, you could
thing.
argue like a lot of his shit are horror stories, but it's more the horror of the unknown, like something like Flow My Tears, Policeman Said. There's like very Orwellian kind of dystopian horror show of just like, it's more of a thriller, but there's a lot of like fear of the unknown that kind of he has, and the same with Lovecraft, because it's always about like these entities that can control your reality, and you don't know what's real, and like your perception is directly influenced by these like malevolent beings that have power over you, and you don't know if they're working for you or against you, or if they're even real, or if you're insane, or you know if your wife is your wife, or you're this person you just met, or can you trust them, or are they even real, or are they you through like some fractured like uh piece of your psyche like come back to life or something. Like it's like a lot of like layers upon layers, especially when you get into like a book like Ubik or something like that, where it's just like it kind of like it onions and peels back, like are you even like, have you been dead the whole time or whatever. Stuff like that. That's like a pretty common uh plot twist and a lot of dick I found.
Speaking of fear of the unknown, let's talk about James Edward Clark. So the last time you did your Kickstarter, Pissant Apocalypse, it was kind of, I don't necessarily want to say like a test run because I knew you could do it. You knew you
Yeah.
could do it. The material was done. It was just a matter of like, this is the first time I'm going to get on Kickstarter, collect money, and then physically promise people stuff. Uh, a lot of independent creators that I deal with are insanely talented when it comes to like the creation side of things. But there's been a huge rise in like stuff like Zoop because they will handle your distribution for you. You don't have to worry about being the flaky artist. I say this because I'm that fucking flaky artist. Like I'm that dude that's like agoraphobic and like doesn't, I deal with like social anxiety and I don't like to leave the house. I will pack your art and it will sit in my fucking car or by my front door for like 2 weeks while I have panic attacks and look at it and I'm like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah." Everything went great on your first Kickstarter. It fully funded. The book came out looking wonderfully. Um, it was a smaller size. It's a zine size book. I don't necessarily think that
Well, it's
uh,
like tankobon Japanese manga size
manga
book, I used to
size.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I don't.
Evil will be like regular size, but you're right. Like last time, like I was confident like I could run the campaign and get everything out to people. It was just a matter of like I never dealt with a printer to print like a proper trade paperback, and that was just really the one hurdle. And luckily, I have my friend Ricky Lima, who's like a master, like he loves printing. He's got passion for it. I think he does it like his day job and everything. And he has like he's got a book out right now, and he helped me out, and he did a fantastic job. I think this book came out like definitely professional level. Like put this up against any trade paperback, any tankobon from like Viz or Marvel or whoever. I think it's like better than a lot of that stuff that they print. And yeah, so feeling pretty good and confident like we'll be able to do it again. Where I was like, just before I came on here, I was just formatting the files to the proper size, because you gotta have the trim, enough bleed and everything. I was just making sure everything's the right size. And had somebody just email me about doing some proof cop, they just proofread the thing and like had some edits for me. So I'm probably going to go through all that tonight, finish up the formatting, and like do a one pass through with the spelling and send it out to somebody else to proofread it, see if I can get at least one more person to look at the spelling mistakes, because I know they're in there. But uh it's, yeah, so we're already moving forward. We got the quote from the printer, and Ricky was ready to go whenever I format everything. And yeah, feeling pretty good about getting this book into print. Once you got through it once, like the drill, you know what to do, and sort of the mystery's gone, and you know doing it again
Just
all
coming
over.
into this one way more confident. Like, dude, I mean, I knew it was gonna fund. Like, you're
Yeah.
super talented. Like, and I don't want to, necessarily just be like, oh, look at James or whatever. But like, dude, what was it? 12 hours you funded like the $4,000. It was less than 24. I was
No,
so
like it was $5,000 Canadian, and that funded in 12 hours. And we hit 10,000 in about 11 days, and we're about halfway through now. To see if how far we can push it. My goal is to we did about 70 and a half last year, so my goal is just to beat that. I just want to have more readers, more money in general. It doesn't have to be like $1 million more, but as long as I'm seeing growth, that's positive, I think.
Dude, I was super excited, and to see the 10,000 and the stretch goal unlocked. Like, speaking of which, do you have a second stretch goal in mind? Have you announced anything?
No, I'm still like mulling it over. Actually, I was talking to like Matt King, and he suggested doing like a collection of all my commissions I've done over the years. So maybe when I we pass what we made last time, maybe add another one on. But then we're getting to like three zines for $10, and that might not make sense financially. But we'll see. I'm mulling it over still. We still got like money coming in, little drips and drabs, and still promoting, trying to get out there, trying to get the word out. Talk to anybody who will have me. Thank you very much, by the way.
Anytime. So you've got let's talk about goals. You can get on you can pick up the Evil collection right
Yeah,
now.
you get the trade paperback. You can get a tier where you can get the Piss and Apocalypse with Evil Comics. You can get the zine tier where you get four zines. You can get, now actually five zines now. You'll get the Electric Ant, brand new zine. You get the 30 Nudes, this collection of my life drawings. You get the Tales to Enlighten prologue zine. This is a little hype zine we made up for like the run up to putting out Tales to Enlighten. We got Arthur and Boom Boom. This is a book I did with writer Harrison Pack. Yeah, you've read it. It's a good one.
I love that Arthur and Boom Boom book. I will not lie.
Yeah, it's really good sort of first chapter. Yeah.
I just like you nailed that rubber hose style. Like just killed it, dude. It's so fun. I'm obsessed with Fleischer and shit. So when I saw that, I was like, ah.
Yeah, I was looking at like Fleischer, but I was also looking at like John Kay and who's the Al Columbia type stuff. And yeah, it turned out really nice, and like people really respond to that zine thing. But I don't know. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I mean, whatever. It's a great fun zine. That's all
Yeah,
it
it just
needs to
works
be.
as a one
Whatever.
shot. Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to have to be what it is. But yeah, um, yeah, but
You got the commission tiers too.
and we got commission tiers. I've been doing a bunch of them for people. Got Soggy Jimbo. This is gonna be if you see my fit how I usually do like the finish commissions. I usually add a bunch of color and like liquid gouache and whatnot. Where's I was on Twitch. We were talking about I had to do Blood Wolf by Rob Liefeld. You seen that one? That's
Yes.
really good. It's a fun one. And I got Electra here. This is Rainbow from the DNA Agents. What we got? This is somebody wanted me to illustrate their nephew's original character. This is Tenpin, who's a sniper who has a flaming bowling ball for a head. Super fun. And yeah, get the commissions here. I'll draw a picture for you, and then if you want to like spend extra, there you go.
He'll draw anything you want. Like seriously, I've always got James Edward Clark art within hand's reach. Like, he's sitting going through his art, and I was like, "What do I have sitting next to me? I could show off my Uncle Jerk piece."
That's a nice one. Yeah, based on the Secret Wars with uh, Doctor Doom. Yeah.
Dude, I love that piece so much. I can't wait to find. I finally found 9 by 12 frames again. They've been sold out like everywhere around me that has cheap frames for over a year. It's killing me.
Well, you spent it all on you bought them all up. Look at you, you're back there.
Dude, you have no idea. I remember I was like going into Walmart and they were looking at me and they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, I'm doing my room.
I have a lot of pictures.
I met Mike Allred last year, so now my room has to look like a museum. That's now my life goal.
Oh, what was the thing? He like posted on Instagram. He's got like a robot in his front foyer or something now. Is it a Star Wars robot or something?
Dude, he built his own I think he built a Boba Fett, and then he's got a full-sized Han Solo and Carbonite
Oh,
that he did LED inlays for the sides that is a table. He's got a hand-built 1966 Adam West Batman Batcave.
Where's the guy
Uh,
root for that? How big? What's the scale?
dude, it's like 1 to 5. It's the whole corner of a room,
Yeah,
dude.
that's huge. 1/5 the size.
It is it is so cool. He built it all himself. He did
Wow.
like his like cosplay last year. He designed his own Boba Fett crossover character. He's got a wall. And when I mean a wall, I mean like 150 like of the most insanely cool models, all that he puts together, and like Laura paints them. They've got a full 1-to-1 Jack Kirby Silver Surfer model that's hanging from the ceiling in Laura's fucking workspace, dude.
That's insane. No, I've seen pictures like he's posted, but I never know the scale. I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember going into his house and like Han had me over and I like walked in and I was just like all quiet for like 20 minutes and he was like, "Dude, it's okay. You can talk to my dad." And I was like, "No, I'm so sorry, Mike. I am it's I Steve Rude, Alex Toth, Frank Frazetta. I how do you do anything in it? Darwin Cook?" And he's like, "Oh, Darwin." And he got out a stack of Darwin Cook originals and I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh yeah, Jay Bone, who was Darwin's assistant. I go life drawing with him Mondays usually. Except for it's Thanksgiving today, right now when we're recording this, so no life drawing today. It's a long weekend.
That is so fucking cool. Darwin is like a legend to me,
Oh
man.
yeah,
Like,
he was a Toronto guy, so I'd see him at conventions and stuff back in
dude,
the day. Yeah,
legendary sweet and legendary
he
sour.
wasn't sweet. No,
No, no, no, no, no, no. Like, if, dude,
he could
it,
be sweet, but he'd give you a piece of your mind.
he was very honest. That's
Yeah.
why I say legendary sweet, legendary sour. Dude
Oh yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
he
Sweet and
was
sour. Yeah, that makes sense.
either one or the other, man. And like, it unfortunately bit him in the ass career wise. Fucking Alex Alonso. There's a special place for you and all of that Marvel art that you.
Now I heard this story. Might get Jay in trouble, but yeah, I heard about that story.
Oh, dude,
I shouldn't say too much, but yeah, because I
I was
know.
gonna say I got a video out about it if anybody wants to know about
I
it.
think I've seen that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I got
That
the inside scoop about that, but that's all I'll say.
I
But
ain't gonna grind you on that one.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
anybody who doesn't know Darwin,
I already said it's from Jay's mouth, so I shouldn't say anymore. But yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say anybody who doesn't know Axel Alonso ate a fist from Darwin Cook in a very public
I
bar
think it was a
over.
fist. I heard it was water over the head, but
Oh,
yeah.
did he just dump the drink? He took a swing at him, but he just dumped the. Yes, he poured a drink in his face. You're right, and tried to slug him. Didn't get him. You're right. My bad.
Uh, but we said too much
We
already.
said too much. But Darwin, man, like that, he was such like a visionary in my eyes, man, and like getting to see some of his work is just mind blowing, dude. Speaking of speaking of mind blowing, on subject. I'm gonna stay on subject with you, James. I'm just gonna keep wandering off and talking about random stuff.
We haven't talked for real in a while. Like I'll come onto your Twitch stream and just bullshit about like Frank Lloyd or something. Or
Dude, I've known you for like 6 years, man. You're like the first
yeah,
guy I got art. You're like the face of the channel. So whenever I see you, I just kind of like, "Oh, buddy mode. How have you been, man? Yeah, let's talk about Mike Allred for 20 minutes.
for
No need
sure.
to talk about the Kickstarter that you're on here to
Which you should
promote."
back Evil Comics on Kickstarter right now
I
until the 30th at midnight.
Let's talk about evil. So you've got Tales to Enlighten, you've got a shit ton of zines, you have got Pissant Apocalypse, but all of this stuff was done after evil. Like when I got my first commission from you, you actually sent along because I begged you. You were like, "I have one random issue of evil sitting around." So
Yeah,
you sent it along. Talk about where evil came from. Like, how did it start? It started like 10 years ago now, man. Like,
yeah. I was working in a factory at the time, and it was just sort of my creative sort of thing that I was doing. Like I wanted to do comics, and I just did my own comic because that just seemed like the way to do it. And then try and get it out there and get some exposure. And I managed to self-publish the first three issues, and issue three actually won some awards and got started getting some press around it, and then kind of my life imploded at the time. And then instead of, I got laid off from my job and a bunch of other stuff happened. And then instead of getting a new job, I decided I was just going to finish Evil, which by the end I had about 100 pages that sat in like a drawer for another 4 years while I was working on, well, like two and a half, while I was working on Tales to Enlighten. And then because as soon as I finished that first draft, then like people like Matt started reaching out for me to draw their books. And like I was saying, Tales to Enlighten took me, you know, over 2.5 years and took me right through like 2020, like March 2020, when everything started locking down. And then from there, like my first lockdown project was actually to publish everything I had done up to that point for Evil on my Instagram account. And I did a very odd way, like I think turned a lot of people off, where I did backwards panel for panel a day, which in my mind, it was just, I just wanted to get the stuff out no one had seen yet. Like I had 100 pages of unpublished material, and that was the stuff I wanted to get out into the world because no one had seen that stuff. And in the process, I ended up redrawing basically the whole thing. That became like the second draft of the book. And in the meantime, I started pissing Apocalypse in the middle of it, which ballooned out to a whole another 160, 5-part story, which seemed a lot more manageable because it was just smaller, just be easier to ship this stuff. And so I opted to crowdfund that first. And now we're a year later, we're circling back.
So I know you did like there was the original print, and then when you kind of like reposted stuff, you tweaked the story, went back, you edited a little bit. Are you going back and doing that again, or are we just
I
taking the
did, yeah,
material?
I did. Like it, there's a year gap in between when I printed Piss and Apocalypse and now coming back to Evil Comics. I did end up reworking a bunch of it, and I've also like started working on a book for a publisher, working with a writer, Fred King, or yeah, or excuse me, Fred Kennedy, excuse me, who's just has a book out from Image Comics called Dead Romans. He's actually a radio personality up here in Toronto. I've known him for years. He's always like a fixture in all of the conventions and stuff. He actually did the voiceover for the trailer for Evil. If you check that out on the Kickstarter page, he's got that very radio announcer voice. Perfect for it. He did a great job. And yeah, I could show you some got thumbnails we did. It's going to be this book we're working on. I don't think it's time to get too much into the weeds and the details of it, but it's going to be 4 issues. We got the first issue done basically in the can, and we got just started on issue 2. We got the thumbnails. I've been showing these off in the review, just sort of talk about process, because this is just blocking it off as quickly and as like you know, you see how messy it is. It's just trying to get the idea down, because you gotta show Fred and the publisher like what they're gonna pay for, basically. This is really super over the top action comedy, kind of like in the vein of like Naked Guns, kind of the closest thing to it. I don't want to give too much away because I don't think it's quite time to build hype, but that's going to be next.
Dude, I'm so excited to see you working with a publisher, man. I've been waiting like 4 or 5 years for you to really, really get out there because you've got the work ethic, you've got the talent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do over the next couple of years, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal, like going to have a book in the stores and have like a publisher behind me and everything. It's different from what I'm used to. Just doing it all myself, but yeah, it's like my fourth book at this point. You can imagine. So it's sort of like routine, but it's like a little bit further up the ladder, I guess.
I just one step at a time, dude.
Yeah.
It's in shops, it'll be international, it'll be in shops, it'll get the name out there, it'll get things rolling. And it's not like a one shot or anything, it's like a four-piece deal. I mean, that's
Well,
pretty
it's a
cool.
4 issue book, and we've sort of positioned it as it could be a series of different stories. Like the characters could come back, and we got like the setup for it all.
Dope, man.
Yeah.
Any projected release date for that? We looking like next year or the year after
It'd
or
be super late in the year. I think they said they're booked up for as far as their slate for 2025, so it might be early 2026. Yeah. So it's kind of it's a lot of stop and go because like we did the first half and then we like had to show the publisher, see if they wanted it, and that took a while to get here back. And then like in a month it took me to draw the rest of it. And then I had to like wait for edits and stuff. So the whole it worked out because then I could like finish all of everything that I had to get ready for to do evil. And like I ended up doing the electric hand scene in the meantime because I was waiting so long for these edits. But now we're back on track. We got issue two coming out, or issue two we're working on full throttle. Once I get all these edits I had to do for the final print version of Evil, I can focus on working on this next. So it's getting issue two of that done. It's kind of my next
How
big
is
thing.
the how is working with an editor been for you? You're a really nice guy, but you've got a lot of ideas, and I see a lot of back and forth in a lot of your work. So I'm curious what it's been like working with like an
I'm
editor
kind
for
of
a
actually
publisher
the
like this.
editor almost because like Fred will like throw a bunch of ideas at me and I'll be like, we only got 24 pages, so we can't really fit like half of this in and just kind of whittle it down. I try and get like as much stuff, much of like Fred stuff in there as I can, but it's like also just trying to like keep like a plot like coherent type of thing because he's got a lot of ideas and some of them we kind of it's a little too silly, but you want slight. I feel like we want it like slightly grounded in like at least like the genre of kind of action, buddy cop, and there's a bit of like drug PSA and keep stuff like keep it in that vein and like we'll fit in there, but like super silly because it's like a certain tone. I feel like we got to hit. It's almost like you go you veer off in one direction or another, you kind of lose the thread of the thing, right?
That's so cool. Your releases are so diverse because like Pissant Apocalypse is definitely like underground, comics with an X type, like adventure, sword and sorcery style, and like Evil has got its own really, I would say, like unique flavor because for a myriad of reasons. I mean, you've worked on it for so many years and it like
Yeah.
came before
Have we
everything,
actually
and
like
then
said what evil's about?
no, that we haven't. That's why I'm trying to kind of like,
Yeah,
I was
evil
getting
is
ready to
about
segue
so
back into
evil. If
that.
you're still listening at this point of us jibber jabbering around about nonsense, um, evil is about this our hero Sammy Destino, who's a mass wrestler, needs to go save his girlfriend Maria from the Space Thunder Death Cult, who plan to sacrifice her to demons at midnight to open a portal to hell, bring forth demons upon this earth. It's based on kind of if you're familiar with the El Santo movies from Mexico, kind of the initial inspiration was um, me in the early 2010s, kind of seeking out these movies, hearing about the internet, and like if you're not familiar, in Mexico in the 60s and the 70s, they had this mass wrestler called El Santo, Man in the Silver Mask. And he was so popular, they made movies out of him. And he was literally in dozens and dozens of these movies. And it's all El Santo versus vampire women, El Santo versus werewolves, aliens. I have a DVD where he fights a colony of lepers. Like, their skin's rotting off. They escaped from a leper colony and they just are terrorizing the local towns, just stealing shit. They're just like marauding leopards who are, and El Santa's got to go beat the shit out of them. And that's the movie. And this sounds like really interesting and fun, but they're all terrible, just complete drag, unwatchable shit. And it's just how this is like a mass luchador wrestler fighting a colony of lepers, and it's like boring. So I just wanted to make like an interesting version of like an El Santo movie, and that's kind of where the initial inspiration of Sammy Destino came from. So in mine, he's fighting a satanic cult, and we got my version of Satan, who's based off of old medieval illustrations of Satan, who has like he's got like the face and the belly and the big belly mixed with Andre the Giant because you get that wrestling the angle in there. I actually have the same birthday as Andre, so I have like a kindred connection to Andre.
That's so dope, dude. Sorry, I've got an Andre tattoo on my leg. That's so
Oh,
dope.
nice, yeah. Well, it's Andre the Giant, Malcolm X. Pol Pot, the Cambodian dictator, Joey Ramone, and Albert Fish. So like a real rogues gallery. Also, my granddad. Me and my granddad had the same birthday. So
That's fucking crazy, man.
yeah, it's a interesting list of characters. You have the same birthday on.
So we got Sammy Destino and Evil kicking ass. This is like another 170 page romp, right? Like
180. Yeah.
180. Dude, like where are we going from here? You've got like you're kind of you at this point with Evil, you'll have worked your way through stuff. You're doing the 4 issues. That'll be coming out like early 2026, hopefully. Are you planning anything like for yourself? You're just like you're like a juggernaut of comic books, bro. Like,
Oh, thanks. No, I have no plan. I'm just kind of going till the wheels fall off, and I gotta go get a real job. And just as long as I can keep making it work, kind of, sort of, not really, but doing it anyway, I'm going to keep doing it till I can't anymore. So that's basically the plan.
so on top of the Kickstarter, where people can pick up Pissant Apocalypse, which is your first trade paperback, you can get a zine collection that will have it's a zine tier that'll have all of the zines that he's ever put out. Plus, you can pick up the brand new Philip K. Dick adaptation.
If you just get the
And
zine tier, that'll be added on for free. It says you'll get 4, but you actually get 5. If you don't want to spend the money for the zine tier, you can just get the 30 nudes add on, and then the Philip K. Dick short story will be added on. So like you spend $10, but like you spend 5 on 2 zines, right?
each a piece. You
Yep.
can pick up, there's an original commission. You can
Yep.
commission him to draw
Draw whatever
anything,
you
anything
want.
you want on there. I can't recommend enough. Like seriously, the Uncle Jerk logo that's on the channel at the beginning of every single episode, that's James. That is James. He defined the look of Uncle Jerk. He's
I found your channel. You had like maybe less than 500 followers, and you had just put out the Sam Keith documentary. And I messaged you, and I'm like, I just pitched you, like, I could do a lot better icon. I just felt like, needed something extra. And I did that in like 24 hours, turned it around. Basically, like, what's the little icon in the corner right now? That's me. That's why I gave him. And then I turn around, you got 10,000, 11,000 followers.
dude, if it
Like within
wasn't
a couple of weeks, it seemed like, or a couple of months. It's
it
crazy.
that video was the first thing I ever had that hit, and I went from like I think about 500 to about 8,000 followers within like 2 months.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
But I would have had no merchandise if it wasn't for James. Like he's one of the very few guys that I've worked with as far as illustrators that go that, when he does his commissions. And what's super cool is you'll get a really nice, cleaned up, digitally colored version of your
If
commission
you
that he
want the
sends
digital
you.
version, just ask me. I'll send it to you. Most people like I color them digitally just because that's my habit. I just color everything and it just makes a better post on Instagram or whatever. It's just better advertising for the piece, right? And then I will like add a bit of color, a little watercolor, some gouache, and send the original off to you.
It's
And you can do whatever you want with that digital version. I don't really care. It's just sort of I just got in that mentality where you just got to crank this stuff out and whatever people want, just got to make people happy, give them what they need.
that's what James is all about, is giving people what they need, what they
They need
want.
the entertainment. They need full throttle action. Uh, they need beautiful women in their books, and they need my stuff. They need my comics, and you need to back Evil Comics on Kickstarter. You turn it around. There, it's falling off
See,
the road. There,
there you go. There you go. Flipping it around.
flipping
Andre
around.
slam that shit. But yeah, seriously, guys, get on Kickstarter, check out his stuff. Get on his Instagram, just flip through there, look at the insane myriad of stuff that he's capable of. If you enjoy his stuff, make sure that you also pick up the Pissant Apocalypse tier, and you can pick up Tales to Enlighten. That is still in print as
Yeah, if you go on
well.
my link tree in my bio on my Instagram, it'll link you to Matt King's Etsy account where you can still get a couple. I think he still has a few copies of this still.
I
It's
think
getting low
so.
though. You're gonna want to get if you're at all curious about my work and Tales to Enlighten, you're gonna want to get that right away before he sells out.
And if you guys want to check, if you guys want to check it out, I got to flip through a Tales to Enlighten on the channel, and I also have an interview with James about that book where we talk
And
about
Matt King.
everything. And Matt, that's true, man. I always forget that I interviewed Matt about that book too. Um, so
We're
yeah,
just two
go.
guys with beards and hats. So yeah, when you see us, so it kind of blends together. If you talk to one of us, you can't talk to both of us.
And you've got a Patreon too, correct?
Not we'll see about that, but I
Okay.
haven't updated. I feel bad. I only have one backer, one patron at this point, and I had a hell of a time. Like I don't know, the site's broken. Like trying to get like verified and get my banking stuff. It's been a nightmare. And it's like
Oh,
we
that
talked about
sucks.
like they got this whole like Apple Pay stuff where I'm going to get like taxed another 30% on top of the tax I got paid in the States. So I don't even know if it's worth it at this point. So yeah, don't bother with the Patreon at the moment. I'll let you know there's any if there's any movement. If I figure out the Patreon situation out, I'll let you guys know. But
If James gets a Patreon, I'll make sure to amend this. But in the
yeah,
meantime, get on Instagram, give him a follow, make sure that you just stay up to date with his stuff. Keep an eye out for his upcoming book. And get on Kickstarter and back Evil. You're gonna want to pick up this book, guaranteed, guys. Uncle Jerk does not tell you guys like must read books a whole shitload. I'm telling you, back Evil. Let us completely fucking demolish the goals on this Kickstarter so that James has no choice but that in his downtime next year, while he's waiting for this book to come out, he gives us another 170-page goddamn
it
epic.
ain't going to take a year. It's going to be done printed in a couple weeks after printing.
Evil
Once I
will be
get the money,
done, but your other
Evil will
four
be done.
issue miniseries
Oh,
will
the
be
next
wait. We're
one.
waiting
Yes,
on the
yes,
four
yes.
issues from that for a year. So we need that fixed, James. I don't know
It's
about anybody
coming.
else, but I need it.
It's coming. I'm working hard every day. Well, you're saying like when James has downtime. When do I have downtime? I'm all working all
I
the time.
invent you downtime. See, when I say that, that's when you have downtime. All
Oh,
right. That you have
okay.
downtime right now. Why are you, speaking of which, why are you not drawing while we're doing this
Well, I
interview?
gotta
That's
promote stuff. I gotta be advertisement man. I gotta be. I don't. People give Stan Lee shit, but like somebody had to go out there and sell this stuff to these kids. Jack Kirby's too busy drawing it.
goddamn Skippy. James is the man that is both Lee and Kirby.
I try. I'm a very bad. I'm not very good at being Stan Lee. I don't have the voice. I don't have the presence. I'm not great on camera. I don't know.
Okay, you're fine on camera. You're just not awesome at alienating and fucking over all of your collaborators while stealing all the credit and then like plastering your name on stuff you had nothing to do.
I
It's a
mean, it's pretty
tightrope
obvious what I
walks.
draw. Like, it's pretty, when I draw something, it looks like a James Edward Clark drawing. It's kind of hard to fake it.
And ask how many people they think, like, how many people think Stan Lee is an artist? A lot more people. It would horrify you. Well, his
I
name's
think of
on
him as like an
everything.
editor, really. Like, at the end of the day, he was a good editor.
That's exactly what he was. That's exactly
Yeah.
what he was. He was
And he
an
was a
awesome
salesman. He was the game show host. He was the front of the operation. The
he
dude
was the
needed to
ultimate
sell.
rah-rah man.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like you go in and you interview people. So you made the comics? So you drew it? It's like, well, I wrote it. Or Jack Kirby wrote the story. It's just simpler to say he wrote it. Yeah, I did it. It's mine. It's okay. And it just got to the point where that became true in his mind because it was like 20 years later. And, Jack had like come and go, and there's a bunch of other, and he like moved to like, fucking California, like in the 70s, like really like that, you know, Mary Marvel Marching Society era was really only like 3-4 years, really. Or no,
Oh,
about like 5-6,
it
yeah.
was about 4 years, and
Yeah, where he was actually
everybody.
like super active before he like moved out to California and tried to like start making movies.
That was the thing is like Lee became convinced that the only way that comic books were going to survive was adaptation to multimedia. And like growing up, I heavily disagreed with that. And the older that I've gotten, the more that I realized that Stanley had a very valid point there. And like that's no longer the thing that I take issue with Lee about. It was in a lot of the stuff that I think a lot of people throw on Lee, like the Stan Lee presents and stuff, that wasn't Stan. Stan
Well, he
never
was just
asked
a
for
fake. It was his fanboys that took over
it
after
was
him.
it
That's
was
like, God,
Cadence. It was
yeah,
Cadence Industries. When they bought Marvel, they fucking said if Stan doesn't come with the package, the face, that
yeah.
enough said. If Stan and his name doesn't come, no deal. And when they got him, that's when the Stan Lee Presents stuff. Stan was gone. He'd been gone for like almost 4 years by that point. He didn't
It's
have any
also like he
interest in
wanted to
comic
go,
book
like he wanted to just like be in California and like,
doing movies and TV
yeah, doing
shows.
movies and like, having nice weather and like, he had a wife with expensive taste and like, she liked keeping her happy. So,
Yeah, and like, dude lived by the sword. And like, you look at him at the end of his life where they had him like propped up, and dudes are holding his hand to sign stuff. And
oh
his
yeah.
daughters like got him locked into a house with an abusive maid, and they're stealing his fucking blood from the hospital to put into signatures. You die by the sword, baby. Like,
Yeah. Well, a lot of old people they have scary when you think about getting old, but and where you'll end up.
oh,
But
dude.
yeah.
My wife is a nurse in a nursing home.
Oh,
It's, dude, like,
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I've dated nurses before.
I think about that shit every day.
Oh, I imagine so.
Like, please, Jesus, just let me die of a fucking heart attack. Let me get hit by a fucking bus one day wandering across. I'm 65. Whack!
Yeah,
All
don't.
right.
Yeah, my worst fear is like getting strokes of my granddad just being like immobilized and just wasting away like he did. Yeah, real downer, real great note to end on. I think
I, I mean, everybody
mortality of
loves.
man and our thinking about our deaths.
I was just getting ready to say, like, my one fear is going blind so I can never see art or draw art again in like single fucking Indian tier, like Iron Eyes Cody over here.
I got the glasses, but like when I go get my eyes checked, they're not getting worse. My eyes aren't getting worse, so that's good. But
Yeah, like I gotta get in this week. My right eye, like the other day I was drawing and I was like, man, what the fuck? And I like closed my eye and it is gone. Like
oh,
I can see kind of, but it's all like misaligned blurs, like
you
lines
got to
over
get the
lines.
bifocals.
I think so, dude. I think
Oh,
I popped
sad.
something,
Yeah.
bro. I was
Oh,
like, my eye felt like real weird, and I felt it was almost like a muscle twitch. And I was like, that really hurt. Oh shit.
it's really just the muscles in your eye that kind of go out of alignment, and
Yeah, that's
need the
exactly it. But
lenses to correct it. Yeah, yeah.
they just pop, man. I felt them the other day.
Getting
I was like,
older.
God damn it, I'm 40, aren't I?
I'll get in there. But yeah.
So, guys, Kickstarter,
Yeah, fun
Pissant
stuff. Comic
Apocalypse,
books, everybody. Fun.
Evil, I'm old. We're all dying in the Cynthia Plath sense of the term, but it's okay because in the meantime, we can enjoy James's amazing, beautiful art. But seriously, get on his Instagram and give him a follow. If nothing else, you guys will get a real taste for one of the things that I love most about James, which is his flavor and personality when it comes to people. He does an amazing amount of life drawings and
Mhm.
he is able to put those up on Instagram. I was really excited when he announced the 30 Nudes zine because that tier is going to include a bunch of those life drawings. And those things are kind of hard to share around because they've got nudity in them a lot of times and everybody is scared of fucking tits. Doesn't matter, you can cut somebody's head off, but no boobs. God forbid that. So get on the Kickstarter, back James, pick up Kiss Ant Apocalypse.
Close enough.
Hey, pick up Piss Ant Apocalypse, pick up Evil, grab yourself some art, snag some zines, and if you can't do that, if you can't do it now, totally fine. Make sure that you swing back and get yourself a commission from James. It is literally, and I don't say this lightly or like jokingly or because James is on the channel, it is one of the best decisions I ever made. It was $50 that I spent on myself for art that I felt was professional, that I put on a shirt that 5 years later still represents me, that I am still friends with the artist over, and that I am still happy to look at. And I cannot fucking tell you how much that means to me as a person. Do yourself a favor. I know it sounds silly. Grab some art, grab some books, support James. Thank you so much for being on and just shooting the shit and rambling with me, dude. It's always awesome to see you, James.
Great. Thank you so much for making time. I know you had a busy week. I really appreciate you helping me out with the campaign, shouting out, get the word out to people. Hope everyone backs Evil Comics on Kickstarter. We're going to basically Halloween, the 30th at midnight. So that's when it ends. So get it in there. Back Evil Comics on Kickstarter.
Celebrate Samhain with backing some evil, guys. Thanks you
Great
again,
book for
guys.
the holiday season and for
And
Halloween.
the perfect book for the holiday season, man. Like
Get
I'm
multiple
telling you.
copies for all your family for Christmas.
Hell, pick up a distributor tier and give them away for Halloween next year.
Next,
You know, when they come by, you can order them this year and they'll be there next year. I was going to say give them
I'll
away,
have
but they
lots
won't
of
be there.
copies by next year. So
There you go. There you go. So, thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. Go back to stuff. I am sorry it's been so long, guys, but it is awesome to be back. And as always, keep reading comics and keep supporting independent creators. If you did enjoy what you saw, make sure you hit that like button. Think about getting in the comment section below and letting me know if you really enjoyed what you saw. Make sure you Hulk smash that subscribe button. If you do that, make sure you ding the little notification bell so you never miss another video or premiere. Again, if you feel like you're in a position to help the channel grow, think about using the link in the description below to sign up for my Patreon page. For as little as $3 a month, you get access to tons of behind the scenes posts, updates, exclusive content like uncut interviews, and you can even get your name in the credits. If you want to support the channel, if Patreon is not your thing, have no fear. You can finally sign up for membership right here on YouTube. Just hit the little join button and make sure to select the tier and the perks that fit you best. If that's not enough, you can also make one-time donations towards specific goals or just tip the channel using the Ko-Fi link in the description below. And you can even pick up your very own JerkComic shirts like the ones you see on the screen now. As always, this video was brought to you by the Jerk Broadcasting Service, as well as generous grants from the Patreon, Ko-Fi, and YouTube members you see on the screen now. I seriously want to thank every single one of you that supports the channel and helps make these videos possible, with a super special thanks to my loyal Wednesday Warriors, Channel 10, Chasen, Clinton Salvini, and Mike Dolan. I really hope the quality and content is getting better, and I can't wait to see where this next year takes us with your continued support. Thank you again for helping this crazy dream of mine become a reality, and for sticking with me. I hope you all enjoyed, maybe even learned something, and as always, I really, truly, and honestly ask only two things. Keep it in those local shops, and keep reading comics.